What is up, you guys? It is your boy, Phoenix Brenton here. In today's video, we are going to be doing my NFL Week 14 NFL predictions. Before we get in today's video, like and subscribe. We are on the road to getting to 700 subscribers. But anyways, enough said. Let's get into the video. And starting off, we have the Thursday night football game where, honestly, this might be potentially a game where if you lose, you might not be in the playoffs. We have the Dallas Cowboys taking on the Detroit Lions. And this game, like I just said before, both teams have to win here. The Lions, for example, ever since their bye week, they have lost 3 games, won 2 games, and the Cowboys have won 3 straight. I'm not kidding when I say this. So there is serious must-win adversaries here for both teams if they really want to make it in the playoffs. Because guess what? Whoever loses, there might be a chance they might not make it to the playoffs. And this is just a really tough game to predict. Like the Cowboys, they've been on fire. The Lions, they look like they're collapsing. It's just such a hard game to predict. Which there's actually a lot of games that it's gonna be hard to predict. But to me, I have the Detroit Lions winning here. I think the Lions, just again, it's hard for me to back down on the Lions, especially when they had a week to prepare for this game. And well, I mean, you could say the same thing with the Cowboys, but I feel like the Lions are just a better team than Dallas. Like, I feel like if the Lions can play decent on defense, I think they will easily win this game. But I think it's going to be coming down to who has the better defense and who's going to make plays. And I feel like the Lions can make stops and plays. Then, once again, we're going to also have another NFC games. So we're going to be doing all the NFC games, then the AFCs, and then the NFC versus AFC, because there's one of those. And we got the Chicago Bears taking on the Packers. And this game is, oh boy, this is probably one of my favorite games to watch out of any of these games. You just had the Packers, who are on a 4-game winning skid. And then you have the Bears, which are on a much higher winning streak, I believe. With their last loss being against the Ravens, which means they have 5-game winning skid. So we have 2 teams here that are both playoff caliber teams right now, and they're probably both might make it to the playoffs. And they both have 4 or more wins in a row. This is just such a hard game to predict. And they both have an additional days to prepare for this game. This game, I'm not going to say this lightly, this might be one of the best games in this week and probably even maybe this month, potentially. And this, I would not be surprised, could be a potential playoff game, like in the NFC wildcard round or the divisional round or something like that. The point is, I think this could genuinely be a playoff game if they continue on the pace that they've been. But with it coming down, I think I got the Packers winning here. I know that Bears just eat the Eagles and the Packers didn't beat the Eagles, but the Packers, 1, they had an extra day to prepare for this game, and 2, they also have home field advantage. So, give me the Packers. Then, next, after having a terrible, or actually having one of the best games probably this year, we're going to have one of the worst games maybe of this year. The Washington Commanders taking on the Minnesota Vikings. The Commanders, they barely lost against the Denver Broncos on Sunday night. And then you had the Vikings, who got destroyed against Seattle because of their backup quarterback situation. Now, J.J. McCarthy is expected to start in this game, which I know people are going to be like, wait, why are you saying that's a good thing? I think maybe it's just because I feel like they may have a chance with him over maybe Max Browder, as much as I kind of wished he had a better game against Seattle. But with that in mind, I do think I have the Vikings to win here. I know the Vikings aren't a great team, but you can also say the same thing with the Commanders without even Jaden Daniels. So just with that in mind, just give me the Vikings. And then we have the Seattle Seahawks taking on the Atlanta Falcons, and give me the Seahawks here. I mean, there's not much I have to talk about. Falcons just lost to the Jets, and the Seahawks just dominated a sadless Vikings team right now. It's just I don't really have much to say about this. Give me the Seahawks to win this and continue their amazing winning streak. Actually, never mind. It would be like a 3-game winning streak or whatever. Then we have an NFC South showdown where we have the New Orleans Saints taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Saints, they almost won against a, I could say, Miami Dolphins team that are trying to sneak their way into the playoffs. So good for them. And then they have the Buccaneers, which they just barely beat the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know what else to say. This might be surprisingly a very close game, but still with that though, I do have the Buccaneers winning this game. I think it's going to be very hard for me to say that the Bucks do not win this game because genuinely the Bucks are just too good of a team in my opinion to lose to a Saints, especially at home. Then we have an NFC West showdown where we have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this game is a lot more different. Last week, if you told me this game last week, I would have picked the Rams in a heartbeat. Now it's a little bit weird because, yeah, you have the Rams, which are still a great team, but they just lost to the Panthers, and the Panthers are just so inconsistent this year. And then you have the Cardinals, which the Cardinals, they just barely lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and it's just so hard for me to pick. Obviously, I would think it would be easier if it was taking place in LA, because I thought LA would win this. But since it's taking place in Arizona, it makes things very difficult because I feel like this could potentially be a trap game. But I'm going to put my biases aside, and I really want the Cardinals to win this game because then we have a lot more likely chance to win the division. I will pick the Los Angeles Rams to win this game. God, though, that Thursday night game with the Seahawks and Rams, oh boy, that's going to be exciting. Then we have the AFC games now, where we have the Miami Dolphins taking on the New York Jets. The Dolphins, they just recently barely beat a New Orleans Saints team that are just one of the worst teams in the league. But then you have the Jets, who are playing a Michael Penix-less football team and beating them. This is a very interesting matchup, and just because, again, it's taking place in New York, it's going to be a little interesting. But I do think I have the Dolphins winning here. I mean, the Dolphins have been a bit on a roll as of recently, and I kind of just think with that in mind, give me them, and they will continue being in the playoff hunt. Then we have an AFC North showdown, and this could be potentially what comes down in the division, where we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Baltimore Ravens. The Steelers, their team just doesn't look good without Aaron Rodgers, and I don't think anybody's really more surprised, and their offense wasn't that good. And then you had the Ravens, who just got destroyed by the Bengals. Literally, you could literally pick any team to win here, and I don't blame you because they both have not looked good over the past couple of weeks. And honestly, I'm probably just going to guarantee you to say this. Whoever probably wins the AFC North will probably get first round and bounce out of the playoffs. But with that in mind, I do have the Baltimore Ravens to win this game. Genuinely. And now I'm going to have one of my biggest locks of the week, in my personal opinion, where we have the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why do I say this is one of my biggest locks, even though this seems to be a very tight game? Because it's taking place in Duval, aka in Jacksonville. And you know what that means? Jacksonville Jaguars will most likely win this game. Want to hear why exactly? Indianapolis has not won a game there since 2002. Like, I'm not saying this is a guaranteed win, but I am saying there's a very likely chance that Jaguars will probably get the upset here and beat Indianapolis. Then we have, we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Cleveland Browns. The Titans, they're arguably probably without a doubt getting a top 5 draft pick this year. And then you have the Browns, which I don't know how, but they actually could genuinely contend for a playoff spot. I don't know how, but they can. But with that in mind, giving the Cleveland Browns to win this game, I think the Browns, although not a great team, they should be able to take care of a Tennessee Titans team pretty easily. Like when I'm saying this, I mean this quite literally. If the Ravens lose out, Pittsburgh they lose out, and same thing with Cincinnati basically. Well, Cincinnati not so much. They can win a couple of games, and they win out. They win the division. I'm not kidding when I say this. Ben, in the AFC West, we have the Denver Broncos taking on the Las Vegas Raiders, and I think I go with the Broncos here. I know they almost lost to the Commanders last week, which aren't a particularly good team, but the Raiders are just a gigantic mess, so I don't really see why the Broncos don't win this game, even though they had a very struggling game a couple weeks ago. And then we have a pretty interesting game here. We have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Buffalo Bills. The Bengals, they just destroyed the Ravens. And then you have the Bills who kind of just destroyed the Steelers. This game is really just going to be depending on who has the better defense. And although I would say the Bengals had a better defensive performance than the Bills did last week, I still think the Bills will definitely have the better defense. And that's why I say the Bills will win this game. Although for Cincy, it would be pretty huge for them to win here. I just don't see that. Give me the Bills. And then we have our final AFC game where we have the Houston Texans taking on the Indianapolis Colts. And this is a very tough game with obviously both teams are in a pretty desperate need for a win here to keep their playoff hopes alive. But I think with that, though, in mind still, I think I do have the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. It's the Chiefs. And again, I know the Houston Texans are on a bit of a win streak here, to be honest with you, with a 4-game winning streak, while KC are just win-losing. I do think the Chiefs will win this game. And also having the extra time to prepare will also help. Then we have the last game, which is the Monday night header, where we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the LA Chargers. And the Eagles, they're kind of finding themselves in needing to win a game here soon, where after they have been on a losing streak, losing 2 games in a row, and while Dallas, they've won 3 games in a row. And then you have the Chargers, which they're the Chargers. They're a really good team, and they just, destroyed the Raiders, as literally nobody's surprised about. And though, with that in mind, I have the LA Chargers winning this game. Also, I'm pretty sure I had I had somewhere around like a 10-6 record of last week. I don't remember when I named that exactly, but it was something around there. And then we have our bye week teams, and which team deserves it the least, and which team deserves it the most. The least, I will be going with the New York Giants because, for obvious reasons, they just want their season to be done with. Then we have the Patriots up next. I think the Patriots are in a big dire need, or not big dire need. They're not really because again they have a 10-game winning skid. The Panthers, they don't really need it as well. They just wiped off one of the best teams in the league, and they could literally genuinely make a playoff push here, potentially winning the division. And then the team that most deserves it is the Niners because of all their injury issues. But with anyway, that in mind, that is our last week of bye weeks. So that's going to be interesting. And there's going to be a lot of teams getting eliminated in this week in particular. I mean, like, for example, I have the Falcons, if or not already getting eliminated. The Vikings, I'm pretty sure, are eliminated. Like, we have a crap ton of teams here that are eliminated. The Vikings, I'm pretty sure, are eliminated, if I didn't say that already. Like, we're starting to get to the nitty-gritty of what teams will make it and what teams won't make it. It's still weird to think about. Oh, no, the Saints can't make it to the playoffs. I was about to say that. Oh, actually, the Falcons, I don't know. But anyways, guys, I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Peace.